The number one thing that we saw that prevents people from reaching their goal or that makes them quit before they actually get there is that distraction is the enemy of success. A lot of people have a lot of starting power, but they don't have finishing power. You've always struggled with this in the past. You can't control yourself around food and you feel powerless when you're in a certain scenario. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, we have a very special one. I'm going to be sharing with you 4 strategies to end 2024 strong. All right, welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast. I'm your show host, Maxime, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, a company that is on a mission to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce their risk of chronic illnesses by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. I believe that having a fit, healthy body and mind is the foundation to living an incredible life, and this is what the show will give you if you choose to listen and implement. Enjoy the episode and have a great day. But before we get into that, it is that time of the year where we have our annual special Black Friday deal going on. So I just want to mention that really briefly before we get into the topic today. So this is our once a year deal that we do. It is the best savings you'll ever get on our Fit Vegan coaching program. You can save 20 to 25% off of our coaching services. So again, if you're interested, there's a link down below in the description where you can book your free application call. It is the number one way to get into our program simply because we guarantee every single one of our transformations. And we want to make sure that you're actually in a position to do the transformation. Now we can make you the proper guarantee to ensure you get the results that you want. And so again, just go down there, book your free application call. This will last, it's been available since November 21st, and it will last until November 30th, which is going to be this Saturday of when you're listening to this podcast. So it's open until this Saturday until the first 10 spots are taken. We don't have a lot of availabilities right now with our coaches. And so I literally can just open it up to 10 people. So if you've been wanting to work with us, this is the biggest saving you'll get of the year, or else you're gonna have to wait until November next year. And by that point, the investment for the program might be a little bit higher just because of the rate at which we're growing and the way that all these freaking platforms are charging me. I have to bump up the price of the program. So this is literally the lowest that it's going to be forever. And so book your call down below if you want to work with us. If not, no worries at all. Just enjoy the free value on the podcast. But I felt that it was my duty to share this amazing deal with you because I know that many of you have been wanting to work with us or have been inspired by the podcast or by the Fit Vegan Success Story episodes that you've heard. And if you are an active member, I've sent you a private message on the app with a special deal just for you that is a better deal than is in the public. That's the benefit of already being in the program. And if you're an alumni member of the Fit Vegan program, same thing. I've reached out to you as well with an amazing deal. And so again, book your free call down below. Now, let's get into the 4 tips and strategies to end 2024 strong, right? So one thing that I want to note is that what I've noticed throughout the years that a lot of people have a lot of starting power, but they don't have finishing power. So what I want to do is help you have finishing power. So if you start now, you'll have built great momentum for yourself like you've never had before, and you're actually going to be able to crush 2025. Because let's be honest, we're at the end of September. You're not going to drop 40 pounds before the end of the year. And so it's much better to start the momentum now so that when January comes, you're already crushing it. You don't have to start from scratch, and you haven't had this massive setback from the holidays like most people do. The average that we've seen from people that are outside of the program that waited till January is they've added an additional 10 to 15 pounds during the holidays. That's just going to add months to your transformation. So why do that when you can start building that momentum now? And so that's what I want to share with you in these 4 strategies, is to help you not have starting power, but to have staying power and finishing power. Now, so tip number 1, this is something that, again, so I'll preface this. A lot of the tips that you're going to hear right now are not practical in the sense of do 3 sets of 10 push-ups, because the workouts are easy to build. The meal plan is easy to build, right? We can all be honest that if I give you a Fit Vegan plan that we've custom built for you and you don't follow it, nothing will change. And so in order to actually reach your goal, it is not a physical issue. It is not a nutrition issue. It is a compliance issue. It is you actually eating the healthy food. You know what is healthy. Can we get you to eat the healthy food? You know you need to exercise. Can we get you to exercise? So these 4 strategies are going to be more mindset related to help you reframe how you view this journey, okay? So again, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now. We've helped over 800 people transform. We've noticed common patterns amongst people. The number one thing that we saw that prevents people from reaching their goal or that makes them quit before they actually get there is that they don't set a realistic timeline. So there's a mismanagement of expectation. So that is tip number one, which is set a realistic timeline for yourself, because a mismanagement of expectation is the number one killer of people's successful transformation in their body recomposition. So let's just say you tell yourself, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next month, or I'm going to drop 40 pounds in the next 2 months. Well, first of all, that is a crazy amount of weight to lose in a short period of time, which means that you're going to have to use very drastic methods. You have to cut your food by more than 50%, probably 75% of your food intake. You're gonna have to do a lot of exercise every single day. It's not gonna be sustainable. You're gonna feel tired and sluggish and sore all the time. You're gonna hate it. And at one point, you might go off track because, what's crazy about cutting your food by 75% and doing more exercise than you've ever done before? And you just know that you're not gonna be able to do that forever. And so when you do get off track and ultimately you don't end up reaching the weight loss goal that you wanted to reach by the time frame that you told yourself, like just say 40 pounds in the next 2 months, well, then you're going to feel like shit because you're like, I told myself I was going to do this thing and I didn't reach my goal, AKA I failed. And then it just starts to reinforce that identity that you've had for yourself in the past, which is I've tried to lose weight and I haven't been able to before. And then you just get into this, you get deeper and deeper into this hole of lack of belief in your ability to follow through on the things that you say that you were going to do when you're not actually giving yourself a fair shot. And so if you're able to set a realistic timeline for yourself, it's going to make the world of a difference, because if you tell yourself it's going to take me 40 weeks to lose 40 pounds, and that's going to be a lot easier to do. You won't have to starve yourself. You won't have to do absurd amounts of exercise, which is just going to take over your life. You will be able to go off track from time to time. You're going to be able to handle and navigate life. And by the time you get to that goal, you'll be like, you know what? I actually feel good while I got there and I actually reached my goal. Because the number one thing that I've noticed, again, for myself and my own personal life and our members, is if you can detach yourself from the timeline, because the timeline is not the goal is the goal. So I'll put it that way. I'll share the perfect example. If you're watching on YouTube, I have a photo of myself and Ivy with Tony Robbins in Hawaii. I told myself when I was 15 years old, I told myself that I was going to meet Tony Robbins in a few years. And I wasn't able to accomplish that goal until over a decade after. That's finally when I was able to meet him. And so do you think that I care that I didn't reach my goal within a time frame that I just randomly set for myself, or that I actually got the goal of meeting him and having conversation with him? I care more about having reached a goal than the timeline. And so a lot of the times when you don't have the support of a coach or a mentor or someone that is an expert in the field that you're trying to get better at, you're just setting an arbitrary timeline that you just randomly decided for yourself. And you're just associating that to a goal that is actually important for you, right? And obviously, if you've set that goal, it is important for you. And so what's more important, getting there in 6 months or actually getting there? Like, is it losing 40 pounds or getting there in 6 months? The timeline is irrelevant. I would much rather you lose 40 pounds, be healthier, be fitter, feel better in your skin, and have a lifestyle where you're, again, eating in a way that's going to help you reduce your risk of chronic illness in the future, reduce your risk of injury, that's going to keep you healthy into your later years, then give up because you didn't get there in the 6 month timeline that you randomly assigned to yourself. And so the number one tip is to set a realistic timeline. All right, so a big thing that we have for our members is that you can't fail if you don't quit, right? If you just keep going, eventually you will get there. As long as you're on this journey, some people like to use the getting better 1% every single day. Eventually you get to the destination. And like I said, being healthy, having healthy body weight, being fitter and feeling better in your skin is the goal, not the timeline. The timeline is just there at kind of as a rough estimate. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you how to roughly estimate the timeline for your own transformation. So if you were to do your transformation with us, you'd be looking on average, it was about a pound a week for your weight loss goal. So if you had 30 pounds to lose, it would take you 30 weeks. If you had 50 pounds to lose, it would take you about 50 weeks, right? The reason why we go at this slower pace is because we actually care about your health and we actually want it to be sustainable. We all know that if you starve yourself, you're not going to learn how to properly fuel yourself. So once you've lost all the weight, you're just going to go back to your old habits because you've never actually learned how to fuel yourself properly. So whatever amount of weight loss you have, tap on about a week per pound of weight loss. Now, at the end of that, you need to add 4 additional months for reverse dieting to help you speed up your metabolism so that you're able to eat more food to maintain the weight loss. And that's what we do with every single one of our members. So again, if you're considering working with us and jumping on a Black Friday deal, that is pretty much how we do the calculation to establish your phase and how long your transformation will take. Got 30 pounds, it'll take you 30 weeks and then 4 months of reverse dieting at the end. Because if you don't do the reverse dieting, your metabolism is going to be slow at the end of your fat loss. And if you lost 30 pounds and you're eating like a bird at the end, then what's going to happen? You're just going to go back to eating the way that you were before and eating more food. And your body's going to put on the weight because you haven't given it a chance to adjust to consuming more food without storing fat. And that's why we make reverse dieting mandatory for every single one of our members. And we've done this over 800 times with our members. So we know that it works from people from 20 all the way up to 80 years old. So we know that this process works. Now, that is a timeline if you're to work with us. If you're doing without the guidance of a coach, the timeline will be a little bit longer because, again, you don't necessarily have that expertise or that knowledge as to how to build the most efficient game plan and streamlined game plan for yourself. So on the safe side, you should aim to lose about, you're probably going to lose around 0.5 pounds to 0.75 pounds per week. If you do it right on your own without the guidance of a coach, I will be able to build you the most efficient timeline. So roughly, because I don't want you to be discouraged, 0.5 pounds to 0.75 pounds per week for your weight loss goal. So obviously that's almost going to double your duration for the fat loss goal that you have. If you want to lose 20 pounds, it's not going to take you 20 weeks, it's going to take you 40 weeks. Now, obviously you can starve yourself and do too much exercise and lose a bunch of weight really fast. This is not what I'm talking about. The timeline I'm talking about is for you to do it in a healthy way on your own. Now, if we're talking about reverse dieting, and the fastest we can do it with a coach, with the guidance of a coach to speed up your metabolism without you putting fat on after is 4 months. If you're doing it on your own, it'll take you 6 to 8 months roughly, just because a lot of you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to manipulate your body into nutrition to ensure that you get the outcome of being able to trick the body into processing and eating more food while keeping the fat off of your body. So for us, if you lose 50 pounds, you're 50 pounds lighter after we sped up your metabolism. If you're doing this on your own, if you've never done it before, you're going to have to be a lot more careful, which means you're going to have to go a lot slower, which means it's going to take you longer to bring your food back up to that maintenance calorie. So roughly double the timeline for the fat loss if you're doing it on your own, and almost double the timeline if you're doing the reverse dieting on your own, especially if you've never done it before and you don't necessarily know how that works. And so like I mentioned, if you want the most efficient, streamlined way of doing it that's been proven, you can jump on the Black Friday deal. If not, again, you're going to be able to do this on your own if you're going to be able to stick to your plan that you're going to build for yourself. It's just going to take you a little bit longer because you won't be able to push. You won't know when to push because you've never done it before, right? That's kind of the only scenario, because a lot of people, if they knew how to do it, then they wouldn't have weight to lose, right? So if you have weight to lose and you struggle with it, then you don't know how to do it by default, because if you did, you wouldn't have the weight on, right? And so that would be for tip number one, is set a realistic timeline. And I just gave you 2 guidelines as to how long that would take. Now, tip number 2 is to stay consistent with something you know you can start with and not something you wish you can start with. So what I mean by that is, when, for example, new people come to the program, they're like, I can work out 7 days a week for an hour every single day. We're like, okay, it's great that you can do that, but realistically, how much can you actually stick to, and what are you actually currently doing, right? So everyone comes in with the best of intention, right? They're like, I'm going to do all of these things. I want to work out 5 days a week. I want to work out 6 days a week. But then when we realistically look at their schedule and their obligations with their career and the time that they spend their family, the other obligations they have, it's more like 3 sessions of 30 minutes per week, all right? So start with what you know you can do and not what you wish you can do. Because if you wish to work out 5 or 6 days a week, but it doesn't realistically work within your schedule, and then you start to miss some days on your workout, what's going to happen is you're going to start 2 things. You're going to start to feel like shit because you're not actually sticking to the plan. You're going to start to feel like a failure. Second, if a coach builds you a plan that's laid out over a course of 5 days or 6 days, as an example, and you miss some days, you're not going to be exercising the body evenly. So it might be working one muscle way more than the other, and it's going to create imbalances in the body, which down the road can lead to some injuries. And so if realistically what you can do is 3 times a week with 30 minutes, but you wish to do 6, let's start with 3 of 30 minutes. Like, let's build that consistency into your body, into your routine. Once you feel stronger and you feel better, you'll be like, you know what? I love to add an additional session because I love how I feel after the gym. Okay, let me maneuver my schedule in this way to make sure that I can get that 4th session in, right? The whole plan is to get you to have small wins and to build that momentum, because consistency does compound. If you can stay consistent with 3 sessions of 30 minutes, it will give you far greater results than if you're inconsistent with 6 sessions a week, okay? The secret to improving your body composition is not more activity and more volume. It's efficient activity, not more volume. You can get a great transformation while training a quarter that most people are training in the world, right? So just about being efficient with your training session, being efficient with your nutrition, so you don't have to think about it all the time. You don't have to exercise all the time. Some of you love to, that's great. That's a different conversation. But I'm saying for the majority of you that are struggling with your weight, that are struggling to be consistent with training nutrition, start with what you know you can do and not what you wish you could start with. All right. So tip number 3, become a hedgehog. So I've recently been reading the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, and it's one of the principles that he talked in it. Basically, this analogy is to stay focused, right? Distraction is the enemy of success. So you need to stick to the basics that I've shared in countless of the podcasts before, right? So eat a variety of whole food, plant-based food. Eat in a sustainable calorie deficit. Start with maybe a 200-300 calorie deficit when you start off. Hit your fit vegan amount of protein goals per day, roughly 1.6 gram per kg of body weight, which translates to roughly 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. It's a lot lower than most people think, and it's very easy to hit when you're on a whole food plant-based diet. We do it with our members all the time. And then last one is strength train at least 3 times per week. You need to have enough of a consistent stressor on the muscle to require it to grow. If you only train once a week, it's not going to transform your body. It's just like if you eat crap all day and you eat one salad, that one salad is not going to make you healthy. So there needs to be enough consistency throughout the week at a minimum of 3 to demand of the body to put on more lean muscle, to become stronger, to strengthen the bones, and to start to shift its body composition, right? The sessions can be 30 minutes, but if they're done efficiently, it's going to produce great results. So strength train at least 3 times a week, hit your amount of fit vegan protein goal for the day, be in a sustainable calorie deficit, and eat a variety of whole food plant-based, right? Obviously, I'm going to say all the other basic things, right? Make sure you're hydrated, make sure you get your steps for the day, make sure you get good sleep, make sure you manage your stress. But in terms of body composition, those are the 4 key things that you should do to be able to end 2024 strong and start building some momentum for 2025. Now, as the last tip, for tip number 4, for strategy number 4, this one again is more of it's a mindset piece, because that's actually what makes a difference. That's what makes or breaks all transformation. It is the mindset. It's never the plan. It's the ability to stick to the plan. And the thing that makes it hard to stick to the plan is what's ever going on between our 2 ears. And so if you tell yourself that you suck, you've always failed, you've always struggled with this in the past, you can't control yourself around food, that you feel powerless when you're in a certain scenario, well, guess what? That's going to translate into your physical life, where you're going to eat the food you're not supposed to, where you're going to do too much exercise or not do any exercise at all. And it's going to translate to a not great transformation and an unhealthy lifestyle. So if we can get the mind right, if we can get the mind to shift its perspective as to how you view yourself in the situation, you'll get a very different outcome. So the tip and the strategy number 5 is very simple. Be kind to yourself, right? Understand that you will mess up a lot, because if you didn't mess up, it means that you would have mastered this area of your life. And if you're currently struggling with your body composition and your fitness and your health, well, you obviously haven't mastered this area of your life. And along the road to mastery, there'll be many mistakes that will be made. There will be many deviations and distractions and things that are going to go off track. That is okay. That is a part of the learning opportunity. So please be kind to yourself and understand that the goal is not to be perfect the whole way through, but to be consistent and learn from those, I don't want to call them mistakes, but from those opportunities when you've gotten off track, right? So if you have 70, 80, 90% more good days than bad days, then you're going to get to your goal, right? Like we always tell our members, we never expect 100% compliance from our members because that's not realistic. Life is going to happen. There's going to be stressors in your life. There's going to be things like last minute emergencies with career, with kids, with family. There's going to be travel plans. There's going to be holidays. A lot of things are going to happen. So we never expect perfection from our members. But if we can get them to be 90% consistent, they're going to get to their goal the fastest. 80%, they're going to get to their goal 100%, just it'll take a little bit longer. If they're 70% compliant, they're still going to get to their goal. It'll just take a little bit longer. If they're 60% compliant, they're still going to get to their goal. It'll just take a little bit longer. It's when you start to flirt with that 50-50 line that you're making as much progression as you're going backwards ultimately. But if you're 60%, it'll take the longest, 70% a little bit faster, 80%, 90% a little bit faster. Makes sense logically, right? I know that all of you understand this, but a lot of times it needs to be broken down into these simple core concepts when it comes to this aspect of life, because people, for some reason, think that they're going to be able to be perfect with their training and nutrition the whole way through, right? There's going to be so many days where you don't want to work out. Today was one of those days for me. I did not want to work out, but I still went and did the workout even though I didn't feel like it, right? What a wild concept to do something even though you don't feel like it. But ultimately, if you know it's for the greater good of your future, you can still do something and not feel like it, okay? So be kind to yourself, because beating yourself up emotionally and mentally won't help you one bit, right? So as coaches, I know there's this societal perception of coaches that they're there to scream at you and be on top of you and be like, you didn't stuck to your nutrition or to your training. That doesn't help anyone. That is not how we coach our members. And that strategy doesn't, maybe it works for a small percentage of the people, but it doesn't work for the people that are struggling with their weight and in their health. No one likes to be yelled at. I don't like to be yelled at. And I consider myself a high performer and a high achiever. And so if you beat yourself up mentally and emotionally, you're basically just setting yourself backwards. Like, yes, we are our own worst critic, but to a certain extent, it doesn't allow us to uphold ourselves to a higher standard, because most people that beat themselves up mentally and emotionally aren't in the greatest of health and greatest of shape and have the greatest body, because every time they beat themselves up, they close off and close off and close off even more. And then they don't end up taking action, those little minimal actions that would get them some quick wins to get them to be healthy. And so beating yourself up mentally and emotionally is like shooting yourself in the foot before running a marathon race. It doesn't make sense, right? You messed up, no need to make it worse. Just get back on track, right? We always tell our members, win the next meal, win the next workout. So if you mess up, win the next meal, win the next workout, right? That's all you have to do. Learn the lesson from it and move on, okay? So again, those are the 4 strategies and mindset shift and perspective that will help you to end 2024 strong and help you to build some momentum for 2025. Because here's the reality of transformation. It will require a different version of you. And if you can change what's in between your 2 ears, what's in your head, aka your mindset, then your physical body will transform. And I love human psychology. I love change. I love seeing our members transform, because if you look at their environment, the house that they live in, the work that they have, the friendships that they have, or any of those things, that environment remains the same as they've lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds, or 50 pounds. But if you look at it, if you were able to see like a bird's eye view of everything externally remained the same. The only thing that shifted was internally. They made that commitment to themselves. They decided that they were going to be healthy and start exercising. And then they started to take different action from that internal shift. Not that magically appeared, but that they chose to create for themselves. They chose to be committed, right? The perfect example of commitment is if you have kids. Not every day you want to show up and be happy-go-lucky if there's emergencies or if they're upset you and frustrate you, whatever it may be, but you show up for them because you love them, because you're committed to them. Same thing with your partner, right? You guys need to have that level of commitment to yourself, to your health, and to your fitness. Like, that's what commitment is sometimes you're not the happiest or sometimes you don't want to show up, but you still do because you care and you've made that commitment. you have to have that level towards yourself. And so if you can have that bird's eye view of our members' lives as they progress, nothing changed in their environment. They just changed internally, started taking different action, and their fitter and healthier and leaner body was a reflection of that internal shift. And that's why I share these 4 strategies with you, because those are the 4 that I found to be the most powerful for our members as they go through their transformation. And if you listen to a lot of Fit Vegan Success story episodes that we put on the podcast, you will notice all of their mindset shift of how they were thinking to how they're thinking now. All right. So I just want to share that with you so that you can have that piece of knowledge with you. Now, so as you can see in this conversation, I didn't talk about styles of workout, how much cardio you should do, how many calories you should consume, because that is unique to each client, right? And I've done several masterclasses in the past where I give you all of the equations and numbers to do all of these things. And I could give them all to you right now. But the reality is that if you are struggling with your weight, if you're struggling with fitness, it doesn't matter for you to have the number, because I see so many people go and read the books and watch all the videos, but never do anything with the information, okay? So again, the equations are out there. They're on past podcasts or on past masterclasses. I've given all of those away. But if you're struggling, you're not missing an equation, you're missing an internal mindset shift. And that's what we work on with our members, because that is the most important part. And all of our coaches have been trained on this, because we understand that fundamentally that's what will determine one of our members' success or not, right? So what I want you to do is to take on these 4 principles that I just shared and hold yourself accountable to these 4 principles, right? So these 4 principles are the core of every single transformation. And so again, if you want us to hold you accountable on these 4 core principles and build you a game plan that will be streamlined and efficient for the transformation that you want for yourself, then again, there's the link down below. You can book your free application call. Like, that is literally why I started coaching, is to be able to help people. And I understand that some people will be able to grab the information from the podcast and run with it and get a great transformation, which is, again, phenomenal. It's helping me have that impact beyond what we're going to be able to coach people. But some people do need the help. And if you're someone that's struggling, that's why we're here. If you're not struggling, grab the information I'm giving you, implement it, run with it. You'll get great results from it. But if you struggle and you need that accountability, you need that help to shift your mindset, then that's what we're here for. That is literally one of the reasons why I built Fit Vegan Coaching. The other is to help people reduce the risk of chronic illnesses in the future, because I lost my late partner to breast cancer. That is why I built Fit Vegan. But ultimately, we are here to service the people that are struggling in your transformation, so they can be in a better position to be healthier, so that they can be around for a long time and feel incredible. All right. So again, there's a Black Friday deal. It's only available until November 30th. You guys can book your free call down below. It's 25% off, the biggest saving in the year. Again, if you wait till next year, it's going to be more expensive than this year, because it's been going up every single year. We're just trying to keep up with the world at this point. All right. And so if you guys are interested in that, book your free consultation call. If not, grab the information from this podcast. Like, you guys probably hear from all the guests that we bring on the show, all the Fit Vegan success story. I asked them to share the nitty-gritty of what helped them in a transformation, of what it is that they can implement, what it is that they can do to get those types of results. And we have over 350 episodes at this point. So there's a lot of it out there. And if you haven't acted on that information, you potentially need some help. And that's why we're here. So again, I understand that this podcast structure was very different than the other ones, but this is our once a year annual Black Friday special. And it felt selfish to hold on to it for myself when there's so many people that need help. And so I hope these 4 principles and strategies that I just shared are going to be helpful on your transformation. If some of you are listening that are interested in working with us, we'd love to have you in the program, to have that conversation with you. Again, our community has been growing beautifully this year. It is our most successful year when it comes to transformation. The amount of members we've been able to help this year, and we're well on our way towards our goal of impacting 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and disease-proof their body on plants by 2033 and 1 million by 2050, in honor of my late partner and my grandfather, who both passed away from cancer. And so, again, one thing I'm doing every single month is we do donate to cancer patients directly to support them on their cancer treatments. And there's always a percentage of our revenue for the month. And so I'm excited to be able to do that for November, for December. This year total, with the ones that I've shared publicly and behind the scenes, we've been able to donate over $12,000 to cancer patients, different families, to support them on their journey. That is all possible because of every single one of you whether it's from coming into the program, whether it's from listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube or on Instagram or reading the newsletter every single month. All this is possible because of you. You have all had this impact with Fit Vegan, because every time I donate, I say it's on behalf of the Fit Vegan family. So I just want to say that I appreciate every single one of you for supporting Fit Vegan on this journey, for supporting myself in building Fit Vegan and this beautiful mission that I'm on, because all this wouldn't be possible without you guys. And so a massive thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm excited to work with some of you for the Black Friday deal. And if not, I'll see you next year if you decide to join next year. But we have incredible podcast episodes coming until the end of the year to serve you throughout Thanksgiving, serve you throughout the holidays and Christmas, because I don't want any of you to put on 10, 15 pounds during that time. I want you to build momentum now so you get a great transformation in 2025 and make that the year where you actually get the body and health that you actually deserve. All right. So I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for listening to the episode, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone.